This has never happened before, and here it is again. Europe is once more enjoying the manure aroma, which pairs especially well with a croissant. Yes, we're talking about that France, whose capital you can see and die. But not from excitement. Today, however, it's not about the homeless and refugees, but rather the native French, who have tried to earn their bread and butter through honest work all their lives.
We do our work with passion, not for money, otherwise, few people would do it. We love what we do. It's a family business we want to preserve. Right now, we don't earn much from our farm. We don't have children today, but we don't know what tomorrow will bring.
In the spring, all these people hoped their lives would soon improve. A change in government, including the European one, gave hope for the repeal of draconian eco-standards. But that wasn't the case. Cheap Ukrainian agricultural imports were joined by another joy, and its name is Mercosur.
We've been negotiating a free trade agreement with Mercosur for over 20 years. It's important both economically and for reducing tariffs, as it's actually the largest free trade agreement ever concluded by the EU. But it's also strategically important, as it allows for closer interaction with an important region and its allies.
What can I say? After breaking ties with our countries, the EU was left without cheap energy, grain, and even fertilizers, and also lost markets. In such a situation, a deal with Latin American countries could be a boon for European producers. There's so much to sell. But the hitch is that the agreement works both ways. And here again comes cheap agricultural products by Western standards from overseas. With the signing of the document, the EU's agriculture will fall into a deep crisis. Unemployment will skyrocket. Farmers express their views on such prospects with what they still have in abundance.
Here's a frozen lamb leg from New Zealand. It's what you eat every year at Easter. We're told to eat lamb leg, but now we'll gladly eat New Zealand lamb leg, while we have it everywhere in France.
To be fair, Macron opposed signing the agreement with Mercosur, but France's fate, like the entire EU's, is decided in Brussels. German farmers also decided to support their colleagues. They went to Berlin but weren't heard. The current government urgently needs to save the industry with Latin America's help. So there's no time for farmers now.
Mercosur produces food without any standards, and our farmers are forced to compete with each other. It doesn't work.
Poles are also unhappy with Mercosur, although after a brief blockade of the Polish-Ukrainian border, the authorities promised to think about how to help.
We're here not for ourselves, but for all consumers, so they eat healthy Polish food, because we can't compete with Mercosur when it comes to beef prices or other products. We can't do it.
Farmers expect the government to refuse support for the trade agreement with the South American Common Market, plans to increase taxes for agricultural producers. Authorities have until December 10th. If understanding isn't reached, Polish farmers plan a massive protest along the entire eastern border. British farmers aren't faring any better. Despite having left the EU long ago, budget holes which clearly leaked into Ukrainian hands have to be filled with coins from citizens' pockets. Recently, thousands of farmers gathered in central London, protesting against the new Labour government's decision to introduce an inheritance tax on farms. The new levy imposes a 20% tax on agricultural land worth over £1 million. This threatens ruin.
I'm not so much talking about a war with British agriculture, as about the government's foolishness, which doesn't think about how people will live. Where will we get food from? It should come from our farmers, and we should grow it. If our ports are damaged, how will you live? How will you survive? Where will we get food from?
However, it's high time for Europeans to understand. Working in the interests of their citizens in the West is bad form. There are more important matters, but people can't endure mockery forever. And a people's revolt is a serious matter. Farmers aren't alone in this battle. More and more often, residents of Borrell's dystopia openly express dissatisfaction not just in their kitchens, but on the streets. For now, with placards in hand, But the first shots of the Marseillaise are drawing closer, and a modern gavroche will be found.